But coming back to then, the messages that all of these myths and legends carry for us today. What do you think is, the importance of these myths in terms of how we carry them through and how we remember them as our ancestors into today?
Well, I tell you what I think is one of the primary importances of the story of the Cailleach. Not too long ago, I had a dream, and it turns out that the dream was basically a reenactment of an Irish folk story or mythical story. And it's the story that I was talking about, in which the hag invites a kiss and the kiss is declined or whatever. I had a dream in which I was going down underground in a spiralling tunnel, and as I went down into the darkness, there was people running away, screaming from something, terrified. And somebody said, "It's the Cailleach, run away," right? Terrified, and they were running past me. I kept going. I wanted to keep going. I just felt entirely comfortable, didn't worry. And as I wound down this spiralling tunnel, this very small, haggardly bent old woman dressed in black was coming out of the darkness. And I was thinking, yeah, this is kind of scary, but I'm okay. I'm supposed to be here. I knew I was supposed to be there. And as she approached me, this is the most curious aspect of it, as she approached me, something happened automatically as we got close. Now remember, people had been running terrified. It's the Cailleach. You're supposed to think of her in her crone, in her real haggard witch version. The witch has often been, wrongly in my view, portrayed as an evil sorceress, when in fact, in reality, she was probably powerful in that she had an ability to heal people, right? And maybe the male hierarchy didn't like that too much. As she came towards me, she just lifted her hand or her arm like that. And as she did, I took her hand. And I took her hand to my mouth and I kissed it. And the instant I kissed it, she became a younger woman. Now, not a maiden. I'm not talking about a young woman. I'm talking about a sort of what I would call maybe a maternal woman, like a woman in her 30s or 40s, but a much fresher, more voluptuous woman than what I had seen, this haggardly bent old skinny little woman who was barely able to walk, And when she transformed, and this is where the dream ended, she just said to me, "You're ready to die now." Now, here's the true significance of the myth of the Cailleach, or part of the myth that's associated with the Cailleach, is the dying of the old self and the old beliefs and the old system that you have carried with you. It is the preconditioning that you've brought with you through your life that has prevented you from emerging from this threshold and emerging into a newer life and a newer state of being and awareness and consciousness and all the rest. That's, I think, what it's about. And that's certainly the personal message that I took from it. And it was the first time I had a real deep, deep personal insight into a myth, was when I actually dreamt something. And the very next day, upon waking, I was like, that was absolutely gripping. Some people would have been terrified because they would have saw it as a portent. You're going to die. And they would have thought, I'm dying. What am I going to do? Shit, I'll have to make a will. No, it wasn't like that at all. I knew that it wasn't that sort of death. I knew. But then later in the day, I was thinking, that's the story of the old woman who wants a kiss, the hag who wants a kiss. And most of the men say, no. Oh, are you joking me? Yeah. And the one man that steps forward, the hero, who is willing to embark on the hero's journey, to use a Campbell-esque phrase, is the one who says, I will give you a kiss. Because he is the one who has decided, I am strong enough now and brave enough to take this step.
And you were strong enough within yourself. You felt, as you said yourself, that there was no fear there, that you were, you knew that this was something that you needed to do.
I think for the first time in my life, I had a dream in which there appeared to be a dark portent, but which I realized I had the spiritual maturity or whatever, having been through the journey that I've been through personally, in conjunction with the journey that I've been on through the myths and monuments. I had the maturity to know that no, this isn't a portent of a bad kind. This is something very, very positive, you know.
It's what appeared to be a bad thing, and the darkness,
Yes.
which is fascinating as well, because in reality, maybe the darkness and the shadow that's been thrown up in front of us is in fact just an illusion.
Exactly.
To be broken through.
The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek, which is what Campbell said. Now, I can link that back to Nectan's well. And how it links back is very straightforward. It's a similar analogy. None shall look to the bottom of the well. Why should you fear to look at the bottom of the well? Okay, what's in there? Well, first of all, what's in there, according to another myth, is the salmon of knowledge. What does the salmon of knowledge represent? It represents the knowledge of the inner you, which is where most people don't want to go. They don't want to reveal themselves. Why? Because they're terrified of the darkness or the water or the depth or whatever it happens to be. The two things to me are very similar. You're looking to the bottom of the well. It's a deep well of water. You could fall in and drown, right? And if you do decide to look in, it could come up and engulf you and break you. Because you have to be careful in the process of what Jung called individuation, which is the process of coming to your true self. You have to be careful that you don't venture too far too soon, because you will be overwhelmed. And then you'll regress and you'll become even more useless, as it were, to your true self than you were beforehand. And in a similar way, I'm going down a dark tunnel and it's bending in an anti-clockwise, by the way, spiral. Okay, and that's important. Widdershins. And around this bend is emerging these people who are terrified, running past me, terrified, genuinely terrified by this spectre, this looming shadow in the darkness. And it turns out that if you embrace the shadow and you just break through it, that what emerges is a beautiful woman who says to you, you're ready to die. And what she's meaning is all of the preconceptions, all of your old skin, and Campbell uses this lovely analogy of the snake shedding its skin. You're going to lose your dragon scales. They're going to fall off. You're going to be the snake shedding its skin. Your old life is going to fall away from you. And that was my journey, personally. That was helped enormously by my investigation and journey through the myths, was the falling away of my old self.